Worked out with career coaches from the area. First up was Mark Tyson. About 5 years ago, Mark and I met career. He was hosting. He was working in Phelps and franchised. Great job, Mark. Photographer there who's for free headshots and was meeting personal. I call him the guy. Their project. The jobs. Boys. He was first. We think he avoiding the job. Some more conversations, career, jobs. Perfect writer, thinker, and speaker. Forbes. That's job. Curious. Potential. Lauren Milligan, or knowing instructor at college, a welder, and on board to great fun. Their clients come to work for resume development and profile creation, network, doing a multi-tier job search. Lauren has worked with a multitude of career-related workshops in Chicago. She belongs to a her just lawyers are looking for. First job. While preparing for today's podcast, I discovered a lot of common in our career journey with the book about our first time. Shocking. At one point, we both jumped into the workforce first, returning to our college in our 30s. After earning this and read first year bachelor's, master's, and teaching as a doctor while still working for California, where he just in 2017, his admirable succeeded from Regent University, dissertation degree for she first attempt I have dissertation is to create sectionality between these. Where there's a well, we currently source. He is interim director. Customer will appear to tell on my intro, but what I jumped into the workforce as a graphic designer at time. Which would a career for me. And we're going to one experience to tell green from Hilton services manager listed in 16 I returned to the university. Graduate 29 with 3 points. My senior thesis part screen and poster series protesting the workout. Following graduation, I from the first. Remember, I had student director, lawyering, career development, the kind of service, prep, work into staff members here. We represent and service leadership, partnership, generations. So then we're going to be going through a couple. We're going to start us off on the conversation. The job market 2024 is so wild. To our panelists, most different. So we start off with different elements. 2014 to then found out what the words, because what's happening, we hear it. And we hear a lot about the first two job, hospitality, travel. But tech, they have all these companies who are hiring people to work from home. So I think that's what changed. I think technology 10 pounds. The point to where you got people in call tech, and opportunity where those workers can take home two jobs, but you could take on two jobs, and you got at same home. They could do 8 to 5 or 9 to 5, two jobs for work from home. They were tech savvy. You have, and they were able to make a lot of money. Here you have all these people for making money to pay off their student loan and to also pay their mortgages on their house, families, and able to start small business. And eventually merchant. There are people who actually burn down. It plays into another part in which you start to see what burned out. Repurred what people working regular job. People are there at home trying to manage a family at the same time. Job. There weren't many other services and people with time. And then those who were overemployed, working two jobs, they said enough is enough after 6 to 8 months. Not to stop. But and also brought a lot of people. And you didn't have a job. Okay. Burned out jobs. Burned out trying to play. People were able to start to help and start to pay attention. More so at the end of time. 2014, we had people like health care, and they discovered that insurance actually does have time. But then business started like how the health work, and there was even a whole more appealing to becoming therapy at the time of the pandemic, to where now those people are more accessible. And those things being custom to job market, what happens over there, think of what happened here. So job now you may hear that they're less important. That you got to ask, but And then you got to ask where is it tied, where employment who's the numbers. Yes, and you got to have buy to buy. Yes. Those jobs are pretty cool. People go on. And they're not enough. And we'll tell them how you got the area of the house. I can
Like, I had to look it up once.
I don't know.
But actually, when this now until I was much older, and really quickly, the national average was how it's tracked. 40,000 people there are picked by the government who will agree, they're out looking for work, agree that they're going to be tracked monthly. So every month they get a phone call. It's the delay. These 40,000 people get a phone call every month and answer a couple questions. Have you found a job? Looking for a job. And only track each person for no more than that. And just more. And then they move on to other people. Exactly how I don't think 40,000 is nearly enough. I don't. And by the way, the numbers are always a couple months behind. The right national employment average, that means it was probably that maybe or November.
I'm grateful especially in the job market for a while. What burnout, the issue, and just hasn't forced it at all. Or they work. All the so then like two full months things are just the market. What's the market for somebody just all internships doing role or
Well, the things so but a lot more push. That you're going to see as say we want but else. And that happened when I was looking for my first jobs. But I covered now and more push where and it became harder to find some jobs. Less those available. I either you and a lot of these so to get with the door. When I was your age, I was working a retail job. Every time I turned around, I was going to get another retail job or a restaurant job. And that's what I learned customers. I learned how to put up with angry. That's where I learned how to with coworkers and bosses. Well, don't have as many of those out. Where you guys are to graduate to get more of the professional level. And you're not really getting a lot of those foundational along the way. So I and because look for those opportunities at internships. And by the way, internships is really important as that is where you are going to get that entry level, customer level, foundational support. Internship, but don't always come from job or no job. You're not working with coworkers. Then you're not learning how to have this water conversation, figuring out how to take that.
so you have internships. Not sure. They're in obviously an area for work. majors that don't. Some majors in our state. These internships. Most of that. Please, also, some are super. One, because balls for importance person corporates the crowd does was used to what was was be no, also at for for planning from your perspective so forth. Robert stuff where to your point why strength being you know how I you know how big I people actually talk to. I want you all to grab my the time when we play so share the time. My name. So I want to try to come here and be in person, whatever it is, that was 9 months to leave a job or enjoy. Come on, the one she's what what oh so uh maintain those relationships. One of the corporates so and don't burn so no the way and for notice or bring here are more and more quit quit sure the law have any thought you took place you the commitment
My personal experience was it was during pandemic. I took up a job with fast food. It was about 3 months. As far as I can remember, I think it was about 3 months. Fast period. And it ended up not working out because COVID, your mental state wasn't the greatest for everybody, things like that. So I decided to leave. I tried to be amicable about it. They didn't appreciate that I wanted to leave so early, even though I wanted my time away from myself. Obviously, things just weren't between us. They reacted negatively, then made me feel like, okay, I should probably respond the exact same way. We had our words about doing things that I shouldn't have. Didn't go through with it, but even then, knowing that I burnt that bridge, trying to apply to different places, I realized that during that moment too, if I do this, there's a chance that I can't ask for that reference now I'll be back at square one before applying there.
That's a great point to have reference. Just a letter, professor, boss, someone is willing. I took Canberra letter back the speech. We're also talking about some skills are personal relationships. I learned. Boy, if you work with me, I want to reach out. But you want to leave. Oh, it's your brand. We're starting a clothing brand. Really make sure your brand works hard. Make sure that you are only harder.
The world is small. And I'm saying this from the wisdom of an older person, but you're going to realize that how small, especially you guys grew up. I grew up with that kid, so work in your hand and everything. I probably already have an idea of what I'm talking about, but you get more connected in your career. The world is so small. Really good chance, or something like what else? There's something really take or something. Person.
The quote will here and work while in the corner. I would write a reference for her whole. That's how wonderful of a student she. Not just that she was doing. Or she's here. I already got. That's all about the relationships. True story. If I wanted to, but what best you guys are at, you can use the truth, the lack of knowledge. This is called information, which really doesn't sound as technical. It's just basically having conversation. People in the field that you're interested in. Now that is will go interest. Nursing. Wow. If you're big, you want to know how to get from point A to point, or further down the line, you go and ask that person, I have one big question about how did you to war? More than like you can make that happen because people are one. But secondly, especially if you talk to somebody that's graduated, say they here, and you want to have that kind of conversation, they're looking for ways to get back. The likelihood of them saying yes is you'll be able to have those. Now imagine having a dozen of those conversations if you're focused on a particular area. And you might find out that those conversations, that's the main you want to get into. Then it's or I really like this. I want to talk to more people. In other words, the more people you're able to network like that, the more information you'll have. Boom. You're not going in blind hoping that you can apply to 300 or 400 jobs and land one of them. That's the worst way to do that. You could do that for one. I wouldn't I know Lord would recommend it all, but you can make more practical based upon the information you got the people who have gotten jobs and have maybe even being in a college where you have some careers and also the alumni, people who already graduated, people who might need to hear about you know, who might be told something you might aspire to. Those people who have had or no had that conversation with them on LinkedIn, watching comment, the postings, you interact with them, you build that relationship, no talent. You
There's just not a lot of younger people actually take the initiative to do.
and when we get in,
We've been out
oh,
for doing that. So the bold move. And taking on to what Laura said about gathering the information, knowing what information would allow you to go. Just asking questions. Information allows you to next. That's it. You're not connecting yourself. Like Mark said, you're not tying yourself to the person. This is right thing you're taking your own. But then another benefit of holding informational interviews, a lot of times people who are working in their field and here's hey, there's some job opening. Here's for the job board, or you're I know someone you should talk to. Whatever it is, start gathering who are gonna look out for you.
how many people heard was the black only Lord. He always starting one. So he looked out and just her right. Just chamber of commerce or let's break it down. I've not a career start. But you just have a month. Let's say somebody wants to talk, they don't want just to teach. They also want that we have graduate. We didn't buy for people at right there and you have a automatic connection. Somebody in career service and connect you direct with someone. You don't have to go through, which also works. It's definitely works. But you have a direct link to that network. So as if let me connect you. First thing, it's connection. Go to LinkedIn, get familiar with and about what you really want to know. Then you want to know how I like it. So you start to have that. It could be always phone call, meeting in person is better, right? And you have great conversation, and then you may go on to the that's what, but because you're curious, you have been educated, he's going to remember it shouldn't get nobody else's. He's going to remember the internship come on. There's a way volunteering with the order department where people maybe there's somebody and so on. It starts there, but basically it starts the conversation. And it starts with you may have somebody on LinkedIn. I would like to be like that person. But they'll posts. So I can try to think just a little bit time. Don't think like you want to hound them down to the assignment. Not an assignment completion. Interesting what somebody does in a very kind so that you can make it them. If they have something going on, share their post. Or even come to their event to volunteer. Or first looks. I had a friend of mine that met me at Hard Hope Down Street. He got to know them over time. But what ended up happening was ended up being assistant. I was got to know him personally. It happened out. That guy went on and it was all from that one meeting because he was diligent. That perfect in a way that that person called. You feel like, wow, this person interested me. And what actually that hope start many other ways. That's just one word.
And you don't even have to put people on LinkedIn. You can follow them. If someone does a connecting with someone, but what if they don't connect? What if they don't accept my connection? Don't worry about that anymore. All you have to do is follow them. But then if they are, I'm trying to the things, information what is of like what I usually have a list. And there are basically questions like, so how did you get the job? You also want to bring your resume if you see if this resume looks like someone who is ready to go into this, or where should this person get into this industry or this field. But just asking themselves. And then the very last question should be anyone else that you recommend that I talk. That's how you grow the work. But it starts information. Again, they're just information gathering. You're not asking for a job. Asking them about their specific experience and their advice. It's like at a half hour over coffee or whatever. You buy the coffee. It's just a little trip. And chances are, older person, more person in their career, let me buy you the coffee. But at least offer. Yeah, and then just ask some questions. By the way, if anyone gives you, yeah, I've got that. Take 30 minutes. Well, 30 minutes, but not take.
Unless they say, hey, I got a few more.
Unless they take that. But if someone is giving you their time, you take as much as they'll give you, not go over, because that's when they check.
Correct. It's over the phone and they're sticking you in, offering 10 minutes, getting focused time, and they don't have to schedule.
Right.
Yeah. Unless you're. But you know that 10 minutes is such a short time. Most people, especially if they're alumni or that there's some kind of connection, they'll take that time to do phone to bed.
And to Mark's point about an assistant for the person, I think at North Central, me in Naperville, and one of us came to my presentation, and afterwards he stayed after to help me get stuff that I had brought there. And he walked down to my car and he said, by the way, that I can help you with anything. And then like basically bartering for a resume. He won what especially and he said, try to help you with marketing. He was a marketing. I was like, what this look like? Let's try it. And put together the survey for me through survey month. It was easy, but it was like that. And he made this really nice and sent it out to a bunch of my former clients. Like it's great. And I would have done my own, and I surely wrote his resume. Now he still stays in touch with me 5 times the money I am. And just a great relationship because It's just he extended himself, asked me for something, and offered something in return. Great help. And stops the phone.
A great reports express strategy. Peace out. Go into offer this person putting too much pressure on the person. There's some show they show want to encourage people to great. What you mind? Does your target come to college? What are the things you want to see most from coming out? Things you want to see most from me? And leave a lot of them. They'll go. Be the register. Yeah. Never they choose that out of their way either. It's committed official, professional, board. Want to encourage those that leverage off of other people's strengths and their connections. Do this.
I know you may not be where you're at yet, but maybe you were on LinkedIn. Just got an idea. I'll tell you this. What? You are.
Very much.
I don't know about things. I was between the two of us. I know I have over 5,000 connections on LinkedIn. I'm guessing Mark is around the same. Okay. That was. And one of the things I tell everybody, apparently, of course, switches. But one of the things that I so many people, once you're big, you can look at connection, see if there are specific people that you want to talk to. I am happy to make an introduction. Happy to, and frankly, I wish I made more. So these are all ways you can tap into other people's course. Not difficult. You don't even have to connect with us. Just start going through our connection. But I would love to. You should somebody follow or a person or message or whatever. This tools are for.
Peace. Oh. What? Yeah. Oh, my people. The world got one that's there. Like one of the cool door Paul Allen calm down task on a lot of hints about what you're supposed to. But it was a priest, if I recall. For what I was one. It did something to help follow people. What you are interested in else. It's a massive with your friends, coworkers, issue without tool. Well, the was
Really?
oh man, don't words that don't read roll it.
I know it's Rolodex.
Yeah. Where the dinner is all through this. Then you're the word. And really what we're bailing the word roll it. One, you know, with what's going on in their life. Provides is access, information, years. for several years, 4 years. Dollars, careers, just to, what I end up doing on LinkedIn whenever I had a job search or it's all it works. You know, how to have these what this new stuff. Oh gosh, she great. I will also you. And so I feel to them and reach out about release copies. Push links. I think up in the part of question of what more well you think about she's how features colors and if you have questions a bit good or bad or you starting questions down a red flag or a green questions long I'm gonna try to break it down but go on from there point about me on LinkedIn or
Twitter.
Peck. Still
I know.
anyway, jobs and a little bit we'll go back. Mostly you heard about job scan comes to old people. They used to get an email or they got some kind of message. They applied to this to get a job, looking for a part-time job or full-time job. So right here, and somebody would you to site, click on it, all this malware, all this machine appear and link. But now there's so much worse technology. Pick up job scan. Basically, now job somebody behind the desk doing something to ruin your career. People want your private data. They want your private information. They want your money too, but your private data is more valuable to them in this day than the $200 or $300 or $400 ask because you were victims. And basically, they're masqueraders. They try to be angel like, so it's been. They try to come as close to the thing as they possibly. So you have these scammers who can now make real websites to make it look like say they website. Except with the truth, it won't be. But if bad somebody a job scam throughout all the people on and all of you saying they gave me your extensions for the email, right? So what happened after a few weeks? Guess what happened? They were able to get to their server at the university and send them scam jobs. Now it's hard to say whether the scam fell for it or not, but for everybody else, that was a shot in the dark to say that it could happen to your student. Some things I want you to keep in mind. Can it happen to you when you're tech savvy? It can happen to you when you're a Jew. It can happen to you. You work at it. Just a couple of weeks ago, there was a guy that was an employee of a big company was talking to some co-worker over in the UK. They really weren't his co-workers. And what happened was they asked for information from their supposed co-worker. Gave it to them. They were able to steal $25 million. All because that video looked like them. Or you find out you don't know what fake AI is or artificial intelligence. I don't go on, but basically it makes them look like the real thing. And these are happening with the job scams all over. There's a survey or some kind of tracking that was done through HR Dive. And they ran the state and had the most job scams. Illinois, I'm not saying it's scary and all that. I'm saying this so that you're much more aware of how these things come about. When they come in forms of big false promises of giving you a rope job, you can make $80,000 a year for doing very little, which is probably most below your skill set as it is. Can you imagine getting $80,000 just that's how it is. And they'll use real names of people who are actually on staff at the and they might be a recruiter on hire go on LinkedIn and check. Now, LinkedIn, fortunately, is built in notification where you were able to connect with that person after you really that job. But having said that, if you feel like this is fourth, feel free to send messages to FT trade. They're happy to. And I would say, even Illinois, our attorney general, he'll be happy. Illinois has acted against scammers. It was one of the first ones in the whole country to start to have the law that start to regulate scammers from calling on the phone. You should be aware. And it's going to come, you're going to come right. Everybody has, whether they have, especially going voluntary, but they can come and take the extra steps to verify, make sure they can, hey, wherever they want to, you have the technology, wherever they want to. Car, which often drive. There's drivers out there who are drivers. Be careful. Both ways. That's what it says. It's 3 or 4. The chances are like, so reach out to people. Your information. We would need to do more.
What?
Next one. Going forward with the other way. Yeah, the other way was we got your information. Now we need you to forward pardon. First of all, companies that had money worked out larger partnerships, but ultimately they did have what's very smart. Understand that again, these scammers they want to come and post the real thing as possible. Don't forget, devil only had to change one word, but Adam. What I mean at the Pope.
No.
Yeah. Doesn't. But my point being is that very subtle and different can make a difference between your financial and your well-being.
Never pay to get a job. Never pay for an application fee. Never pay a recruiter. There are some scams out there where recruiters I can blast your resume out to a bunch of companies. Don't resume blast. I have job open, right? I have jobs open. But then the one in charge you see that is out. You tell my clients, there are many legit jobs where the employer will find your profile or they'll find your resume and that shit. That's what I've got a lot of clients. And I'll be able to invest. I always do on like to buy a review. 50% of them are real, 50% marketers. You want to take a profile picture and Google image picture. That picture comes where it's been posted 100,000 times or whatever. Then you know that damn, just block that person. But otherwise, it's a real person. And you put that image in. The LinkedIn profile will be one, or Facebook, or a company that has their words on. That's a really good way to determine whether it's a person. I've caught a lot.
And it's not hard. It's just they extras and sellers are great market, expert market. They'll look just by saying cheap.
They're preying on job seekers.
There's a job,
Preying on people who are looking for a job.
and that's the thing too. Getting a job search now will save you all of that trouble later on. There's a lot of people who are just go, it's time to get out and I need to. You get caught up that way. You go down a road that's very hard. Can't see. You call a number. This was. That's how they knows. They now I have my own personal not going because I've done them before we went to the Great Wall. I like and do a lot of let's put up a lot of friends around. But I should report it blog. You should report it. You're right, report it. But I'm always important on this case. It's real. This talk work. Our workout system. Fury, that word. You know. Reach out to someone right there. Someone there rules to escape that people are rare to a bunch of people who are not born law, who never or not even agree. Of course, they're going to if you're down, then we'll bring about a witness. It happens down to the beach. Start asking a lot of questions and start betting like crazy.
Last week, I believe it was, there was an article in the Washington Post, and the headline was, "Get over yourself. You are not too." That's yes, but because no, they are working overtime. I'm trying to find out. Sorry.
Elsewhere, you work totally and job on person. I'm sure you should have a lovely profile. And all he had $25. But yeah, that ignore it because
Yeah.
but yeah. That house Right. That's why they keep doing it over and over.
Right.
They do it over and over because they
There's a level, all of them are different levels of the factor.
don't make the forest. Yes. Darn. Career coach. Mr. Very Cardi. Career coach for you. Yeah. Of course. Where they read about let's go to a job, don't ask questions. That just so you know.
It's a hand up. I don't know if there's a category sticks in his hair.
Oh.
Yeah. Amazing question. Really good question. So you don't want to, firstly, you don't want to ask questions one that they've already answered because you're so locked. You wrote answers before here, and you're so locked into the question. Though they've been answered, you're still answering this question. I also don't want to ask questions that you should be researching the company. You want to research the company before you go on to an interview. That number one complaint. Not know about our company. So not good question. But question. One of my favorite questions, getting away from the job description, what will make the person really hire? Getting away from the job description, what happens is I know the job description. Go off book a little and tell me what kind of personality trait you're looking for. What kind of character this person should have. Right. And your answer possibly as to why this job is in the first place. We actually like speak with people on the phone and follow up and everything. The last person in this job to do that so well, and then that can be a problem. I've got a lot of experience doing that, or I'm fearless when it comes to whatever. Other questions that you can ask are, of course, like Mark said earlier, people love talking about themselves. Only, but how did you get into this job? What's your favorite part about this? Those are always great questions to ask as well. But like your favorite, and that's a question to ask in person. So many are saying that, but if you ever do have an in-person interview at the place, at the interview, you can't do this during the interview, but really when it's wrapped up, ask for a tour of the work site. It's ask for a tour of the work site. Number one, if you get a yes, you know they love you. Okay. If they don't love you, they're not gonna. But also if you get a no, it could be because they got other candidates, they're busy, whatever. So I know it's not down to you. Yes, you are in the running. But when you get that tour, it shapes. It's no longer an interviewer and then host and guest. And they want you on their shiny. It's great work. About this office, or well, look, they're working in such a great company or is without owning their shiny thing. And again, it's a bold question. No other candidate is going to ask. So that's going to make you memorable in their eyes. You're going to stand out and you're going to be good and tough question interviewer. And that in the first place, a lot of younger kids don't even. Most candidates are, what am I trying? Not run knuckling out of the car. Oh my God, I can breathe again. It's over. So you're actually asking for more because your interviewer. All.
Here's the picture. I don't know if you understand it. All the things, more you're in that question and had a great conversation, you'll be less afraid of having that major conversation. Because then now you have a whole lot more time. More when you talk to 12, 20 people about it. Now you're just really, you've done the research, you know what question to ask, really, and why. So that can translate. Another one, I started saying, to told me this job. There is some more. Yes. That's just another job. That
Well,
then this really comes just like a shop and on the right on the truck on. Cheap understand yourself. Much like how here's working all. You start to have back and forth conversation. Talk to this person. And see. And that's toward opposite. So you're walking around.
or building rapport in little ways. Absolutely essential. Getting back to stuff. Being able to find those cute files, not only personal, taking away from professional events, but just knowing when you ask for a drug or make a comment or something. All that
It's very term. Your work is important. Important. Lay out doing. Girl, the answer on my how you pull up. Or your town work. What is your one? What is your how team working? Where now always how
so they ask to praise company function. Any function. I'll say my red flags that I'm working where you take them. My red flag became and because I got myself in a situation. Not particularly where should I family. I know because there's no way to function. In my area. Don't tell me you're and what
I heard it already. Well, it is set so well. One knows it's work. If there's they're very outcome because one, they don't want not a free job. Thirdly, if they feel like they gotta spend the job, they gotta spend more time somewhere else doing something. And fourthly, sometimes they even try to get out before they bring other people who have nothing to job. And you're really you're bad in practice and internships for making can't help being controlled before you get on, without don't feel calm enough with self enough to where that they can feel relaxed enough to like you because we ultimately you can answer all the questions right, have all the right skills. But based on the mindset, us talk sounds they may not find it's a very great subjective line that you can't say I've been wrong or it's something that innate in everybody. Really true. And that brings up another point. It is a two-way street. You can also not keep the job. You don't have to feel like a strange family that do strange things. Feel free to not call or whatever. I'm a good joke. I'm laughing. And you don't feel bad in not that opportunity going. If you feel it more. I'm going to tell you what. If this sounds like you think that's the message goes. Yeah, let's count this. With last, but I assigned to an account downtown. It was right up my alley in terms of my skill. The first time, and first time, understand the work. Oh, perfect culture work. Explain the person who out reporting more involvement, democratic leadership down. She want be more autocratic. I was the reason why she playing new ball. Come from out Virgin. This she complete. I refer to her. You all know when you're raised to treat for your elders. I've always been like, but good thing one of those times, you know, she was not. So I don't want to ring myself with my employees. This particular account, they didn't want. So I was not. Well, now you all understand. Sometimes they can look further, but think of your pictures of leadership. Let's go lots. We're just change, but it's all happened. Where you were respect. You know what? I want this to work. I want this to work. This is what you start in that moment. Prevent the so it's just a good job of a place to first. I'm really grateful on this question. So I internship for this summer. That being said, my question is, say I get accepted to an internship, computer science, improve my
is it frowned upon to ask the employees that work there for assistance whenever they give me a task and I'm a little lost? Or is it more encouraged that I ask questions? On one hand, asking those questions interrupts their time and their output of their work. Yet I'm somebody who, if I don't ask my questions where I'm lost, it doesn't get done and I'm not going to learn. And the purpose of the internship is to learn. So should I?
Are there to learn. So we actually should have that in place where when you have questions, you shall go have purpose to go to. That's yes, you're going to be interviewed for your internship. That would be a phenomenal question. If they don't have a question, say we've got a library where you go look up your questions or whatever. It could be a interview. That's how I prefer to learn and see thought that determines the I have to make. Or they may say, absolutely, we're going to have this whole team. We will ask them all your questions. Want to ask questions. If they haven't, should they want, they're not expecting you to walk in knowing a thoughtless TBS report. They should expect you to ask them by that help.
The resources. If you're walking fairly strong, they're looking for great situation. What not? First, church being my relationships. Make sure you are your church. First, what comes through career education. It's more short. All my friend practice for carry that with you. Show your phone. Show your perspective.
On your own where you don't have the school. I recommend going to Glassdoor. Do that. There be the internet. There's a lot of good and there's a lot of bad. The business. However, there are sections where interns will talk about their experience. Company if there were opportunities. So Glassdoor is good. Throughout a very good, throughout a very, very down.
Do think that they started pushing their ads a lot more now because I recognize their name and I do remember them saying something about that. It's a safe space for work chat between employees. I just didn't know that also like since the internship.
It does prove it. People could go and reviews on their companies, but it was proven that employers would be with their employees and force them to write them. And Glassdoor about it for a very long time, which is why I think Glassdoor. But there are good information to read and go through that.
All right? But you gotta recognize the pattern. The good pattern. Out every single word. If you're finally a question.
See, Mars talking because I'll tell you something. When I was I cannot tell you how many companies I quit at them. And if that wasn't that time, I would have worked another like last door to go on, and say, even though I was the one in the wrong.
Personal. Great.
Exactly. So that's what I mean. You're out the good, you're out the bad. The bad are going to not the right. Oh, anyway.
Both one wall would be determining breath out one. Go to the restaurant. Last doors. Cool. Here's all the time.
Like,
Growth fund. One fund. You raise your very good color. You now depends on the first. The group conversations called with the limit that you have with people. You know, the degree. Three up. Right? Here's one. Same job. The unhealthy. And I can work. Teacher.
nothing got
I want more.
them.
There's the one hours work.
Well, for a number time or just for okay. Do I mean you think this is something I want to
Something I want. Just else.
do it. We do it. Do it. I thought this was like the premier any encounter in your life. You'll never regret that.
And then the things you learn about this.
But then there's other
And the problem go to down when good and bad, but really research is
you would not regret traveling.
but you also have a culture
Yeah.
because you got in there and not work. Really, you gotta understand that. Oh, because once couple situation. I want to figure out what. I have a answer. Then hold to it. Yeah. There. Well, you got my hold.
Great. And I always play my love. The fact that you're saying you want to buy some other country, live here. Everything. Yeah.
Working for
The true location. Have a job that is looking for us to do it from anywhere. You're told you other country, it's hard to be in a Walmart permit. But those that really is where the world work is all theology, and I am all for it.
Ben or carefully thought. Here. It's now let me
Forward. I've talked to people.
first gone. Here. Here's course. This before also whenever they when that should be true. Every now and then that I'm I will yeah and they're playing violent to take and be able to somewhere with valley. Reading your old bar where right invitation or giving work
Have that out.
and going to you. There's a lot of ways create your own
what are a lot of people who are out of work, a lot of the workforce, without getting that, she would leveling and jump in there, as well as younger people who are just having a hard time breaking through that level that requires 7 years of experience. First, you're going to in Chicago, but every town has one. Live and die by their volunteers. One first, I have your Never database, or I will whatever update your website, whatever it is. And then offer if you need registration, or you're rubbing elbows. Employers, local lawyers, and you get one-on-one with every person. Well, opportunity, whether you're a business owner or just trying to keep public, like lift side by volunteers. So I guarantee any of you, whatever you don't even know what chamber the beat right now. Right.
Board. 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 Great. Just. Where? Thank you for response. I'm down all. Word. We're gonna. School matters. So we're.
Go for it. We've got some chance now. Oh. No, if you don't do this, push the big red button. Not this one.
Yeah, that one.